For a team that was one loss away from a playoff spot a year ago, it's almost impressive to get as bad as South Carolina has. Their season has not gone well. Ignore they beat my Kentucky Wildcats. Either way, they clearly need my help, so I'll be rebuilding them until we win the Gamecocks the national championship. Picking up where they've left off in real life, Coastal Carolina is a win that they really need, because at the moment, South Carolina is on a 5-game losing streak. And as we prepare for next season, we just need Dylan Stewart and Lenore Sellers to stick around for another year. I cannot stress enough how much of a cheat code Sellers is at quarterback, especially if his accuracy gets a little bit better, because as you can see, he's got 89 speed. He also has the Platinum Extender ability. And any of our other potential options for next season are nowhere near as good. You might say, well then just recruit a better quarterback, but that's very challenging to do whenever we just replace Shane Beamer at the end of this year. We don't have a recruiting class at the moment. There's only one 4-star that's going to be on our board. And that's why for the time being, I would much rather focus on beating Coastal Carolina. Like I said, South Carolina has lost 5 games in a row. And that's with a roster that I feel like's really talented. If South Carolina were really good though, I wouldn't be rebuilding them, so that kind of lets you know that we got a lot of work to do. This is why you want Lenore Sellers. We've already jumped off to a 10-0 start. We're looking to make it 17-0. We just need a blocker, and that's what we're about to get. By the end of this game, I think it went exactly how anybody would expect. We won 38-15. But because this season has not gone the way that these players expected, there are a lot of them that want to transfer. I think there could be about 40 potentially leaving. I guess when you try and start recruiting prospects this late in the season as well, you're going to get locked out of some. We have no chance at getting a 4-star out of high school. So the transfer portal is where we're going to have to put all our energy. But what if we could beat Clemson to end the year? We all know that conference play didn't go the way that we were hoping. And next year, the SEC is going to expand to 9 conference games instead of 8, making it even more challenging. But if we beat Clemson, that at least gives us a huge win to end the season. We'd be taking down a rival, moving on to next year, because we can't even make it to a bowl. The best we can finish is 5-7. It's looking like it's going to be 4-8. Though the environment for this night game is crazy, so maybe that'll help us out. We aren't playing for anything more than pride as we start this 4th quarter. We're down by 21. Lenore Sellers has 2 interceptions, but we're trying to pick up this 4th and 1, and that's what he's going to do for us. I don't want to count us out of this game yet, just because we have had some crazy comebacks in the past. The RPO gets us in. But here's the problem. Clemson drove down the field. They got a field goal, and we also hit the kicker, so they might get a touchdown. It's just an inexcusable penalty there. And after it, we realized that we stood no chance at coming back and winning this game. Whenever you have a season like this, you almost just want to clear house, get rid of every coach. But I'm keeping Mike Shula around, not because he's good at his job, but because of what he can offer for us as a talent developer. He already makes it to where our quarterbacks progress a lot quicker. Starting quarterbacks gain XP faster. We also get some pipeline bonuses, and eventually that'll grow to help out some of our other offensive positions, which is why on the defensive side, I'm also going to be looking for a talent developer. We just didn't have the opportunity to hire one this season, so we're going to take Jim Mora instead. At least I was planning on it until he declined the job, which is why we're settling for Brad White. When it comes to the first national champion on this file, it's actually going to be Duke, so that gives me hope that we could win it all with South Carolina too. And this is where the real next steps of this rebuild begin, because we're about to see what players want to leave South Carolina, what players are going to decide to stick around. It's a really scary place to be at, because we knew there were a lot of players not happy with how this past season went, so a lot of them have no chance at being persuaded to return to South Carolina. And for the ones that did, they rejected coming back. But as I scroll down this list, I'm actually really happy with a lot of the stuff I'm seeing, because Lenore Sellers is going to be back for another season, so is Dylan Stewart. And even the loss of quarterback Aaron Noland isn't the biggest deal in the world. He has a sick name, so I was hoping we could keep around the star dev player, but his accuracy is so capped out, we can probably find better in the transfer portal. If we're going to set up South Carolina for a decent season next year, there's a lot of work that has to be done, but multiple quarterbacks would be willing to transfer here. It makes no sense to me because Lenore Sellers is staying, so we're not going to be recruiting them, though we will go after some 4-star receivers. And I feel like most of our school grades aren't all that bad, but the thing that really stinks about this past year was it dropped South Carolina down to a 2-star team prestige. What that means is we have the fewest recruiting hours of all the schools in the SEC to spend, and that's going to limit how many guys we can get in the transfer portal. It's also going to limit the fact that I can't put any more hours into any of the high schoolers we started going after. I just have to hope that for the players that have other schools still targeting them, the other schools aren't putting any effort in either, and if they are putting in effort, they're going to get taken off of our board. Ultimately, I don't think this class is going to be anything too impressive. We had a couple guys on a visit, which is going to help us land them, but for running backs like Duke Clark, I just don't think that we're going to be able to beat out some of the other schools. Our hard sells are not great. And it'll end up being okay because there were other transfer running backs like Antoine Roberts that we went after, but Duke Clark was the youngest one that we could have had around for multiple years. In total, we were able to bring in 23 players. We actually signed 3 of the 4 stars that we went after through the portal. Colorado got one of the receivers, but that's fine because we got another couple. We also have Nick Harbor on the roster still. And I'm not sure if the dev traits of most of these guys is going to turn out to be anything too impressive. I'm not seeing anything I love so far, but we were at least able to fill some positional needs, which we really needed to do. If you compare our recruiting class to what the rest of our conference did, though, I'd imagine it's not going to be pretty. We were 42nd in the country inside the SEC. That puts us all the way down as the 3rd worst. And if there's any freshman recruits I want you to keep an eye on over the coming years, it's Mitch Kareem. He had star development. We're going to make him a tight end. He probably won't get on the field for a few seasons, but he at least gives me some hope for the future. For most of the other guys on this roster, we got a really top-heavy team. Lots of really good prospects, and then the fall-off is very, very fast. We have absolutely zero depth on this team. There's a lot of positions like running back where every single player in that group is a senior. And like I said, with the SEC going from 8 conference games to 9 a year, it's just going to make it even harder for us to have success inside this conference. Another reason that's such a big deal to me is because outside of those matchups, we also are locked into our rivalry against Clemson at the end of every season. We know that Clemson's going to be really solid. So we are always going to be facing an extremely tough schedule, which is why it's going to be crucial that this recruiting class is a lot better than the last one. I think it's safe to say that shouldn't be too much of a challenge, though. We have a full season to do our recruiting this time around. Taron Norvell, he's the first player we're going to discuss because we were able to scout him. We found out he's not the fastest, but he is a gem. So, of course, I'd like to get him. Then there were these 2 quarterbacks, a 5-star and a 4-star. Their stats look pretty similar. Neither one is that quick either, but we're going to be trying to get both of them because if we can just get a QB for the future, I'll be feeling a lot better. Now, we did get Elijah Brown in the transfer portal to take over for Lenore Sellers next year, but I'm not sure how great he could turn out to be. It all depends on how he progresses. And while we're looking at this roster, we have got to talk about Nick Harbor because he was a cheat code on last year's game. He's a cheat code on this year's game. He is gold takeoff, 99 speed. He is 6'5", 237 pounds. And I can only imagine what the corners for this FCS school are thinking is they're about to have to take him on in our season opener. Ideally, as we progress through the year, there's going to be less and less of these players that want to leave South Carolina. But immediately after picking up that win, our schedule gets a lot more difficult. Northern Illinois is the only other game on here that I feel confident with. Even Mississippi State puts up good fights sometimes. And I think we should hop into this game on the road to Oklahoma just to get a feel for what this team is. I tried to do my best during the offseason to get it up to the SEC standard, but I'm not sure I really did that much because as you can see, we're currently down by 14 points. Lenore Sellers is needing to go for a huge run, and we're just trying to claw our way back into it on the road. Inside zone handoff, few yards, but that's not a touchdown. Not until this play where we catch it with Smith. He is in. I'm telling you, for morale purposes and us just having even a decent year, we cannot afford to lose this one. It is now 3rd and 11. Lenore Sellers isn't going to take that first hit. He's going to be able to get out of bounds. He is showing why he is so overpowered, why he is so hard to stop, though there had to be some PI on this play. We still caught it. This is that type of comeback that we were needing, that we were talking about. 3rd and 11. Guy out in motion. We're just going to have to watch it with Johnson. Seems like there isn't going to be much for them to go to. And with Carson Kent stepping out of bounds early, they punted it back to us, but we fumbled the punt, and they're going to score. It's just unlucky stuff. They even had a holding call on their 1st and goal, which actually did benefit us. It's now 3rd and goal. I played hard flats. We still give it up. And this is a Lenore Sellers legacy drive. Can he ever reach his full potential that we thought he might? I mean, when you have Heisman extender, you're not going down. Where is Nick Harbor when you need him, though? I see him over there on the outside. We've yet to throw up a deep ball. We didn't even have time to get that one off. They've gotten a pick out of it. How are we about to lose with this team? We have so many superstars. It's just not enough. There's still a lot of weak points on this team like our offensive line. We're just going to start sending it. Nick Harbor has it. But the Sooners scored another touchdown after that interception, so we're still trailing by 14 points. At least we have a couple of timeouts. Jalen Glover's also rushed for 141 yards on the ground. So you can't say the transfer running back isn't contributing well. This 2-point conversion, though, this is where we're getting a little bit more aggressive. I was going to step up with Lenoris, but that did not work out for us. They go for a direct halfback snap, and we just got to make sure that they don't pick up a first down. This game is not over. On 3rd and long, we need to make a tackle. We do. And the 6'5", 240-pounder is back there to return the kick. We did our best offensively when we just sent it to him, but I was throwing the football there. Evidently not, though. Lenore Sellers did not get that one out, so we didn't chuck it up in the double coverage. We had to take that. Audibles are not working. There's only 20 seconds left now. Not a great spot to be in. We're going to have to run around and make a play. We've done it. Lenoris chucks it. Nick Harbor on the other end. Can't catch. And he's not even out there for 4th and 10. If we go down in bounds, I have a bad feeling that we wouldn't get off another play. But just like that, we have our opportunity. We need 28 yards. They send 3 in our direction. We should have thrown it. We should have thrown it. There was so much panicking going on that we're going to lose to Oklahoma without even getting off that shot to the end zone. And it's not like this year is going to get any better from this moment because we got number 18 LSU coming to town. They're a 94 overall. And at least they only beat us 30-27. It's just another close game, though, that South Carolina can't find a way to win. It's becoming a tradition for them. We did beat Northern Illinois. So that's a little bit of positive news. We're also getting closer to closing out on some of these 4 stars. We're going to have to upset Ole Miss, though, when they come to town. No chance at the 5-star quarterback, so we're all in on Demarius Booger to increase his chances of committing. Even though no one else wants Terran Norvell for whatever reason, we're going to schedule him on a visit against Ole Miss too. But before we can take them on, we have to play against rivals Missouri, and I'm simming this one too. I can only play 3 games a season. It turns out, though, that we were able to pull it off 33-16. It wasn't even a contest. But you know what? With Ole Miss falling to 2-2, all of a sudden this wouldn't be as impressive as a win for us. And I also noticed they have Cam Coleman, who is going to be pretty hard for us to stop. I don't like that we're now expected to win this game because originally we were supposed to be able to upset them, but at least we've been able to stay in it. On a huge 3rd and 8, we're kicking 3. I was hoping that we could pick it up, but either way we should be able to take a lead, except it was going to be blocked. It's way wide right, and Ole Miss just decided to take control from that moment, but they've thrown an interception with someone else wide open in the end zone. I don't know why they decided to put it over to that part of the field. We just got bailed out because my user was bad. There is still hope for us that we're going to be able to take them down now. We're going to go for a playmaker here. I mean, this was not the read that you would probably expect. In fact, I'm like 100% sure I missed somebody that was wide open. But as long as we're dotting up the defense, who really cares how we get it done? Now, if this is man-to-man coverage, we're just going to wait on Snow to get open. Getting him out of the portal was a huge deal for us. We have nowhere to go. That's okay, though. All we wanted to do was run down this clock, so as time expires, we can kick the game winner. And we have already been able to get to 4 wins this season, which is as many wins as we had last year. This is exactly what we needed, though, to make some progress in recruiting. And Tennessee's entering the battle way too late for Terran Norvell. We also have to look at Demarius Booger, who I'm hoping we close out after 1 more week. But when it comes to this season, I have a feeling that things are about to start going downhill again. When you play in a conference like this, you have to know that the losses are coming, but we did just beat Mississippi State by 6 points. The rest of our season closes out extremely tough. So if I want to make it to a bowl game with South Carolina, I have to understand our best chance is beating 89 overall Auburn. And this game is brought to you by Viore, today's video sponsor. I've told you all before that I love their clothes, and nothing about that has changed. I've said it before, their Ponto joggers are the reason I wear pants while filming now. And when I attend college games in person, you'll always catch me wearing them too. They are really that comfy, but it makes sense why. Viore is all about designing clothes for movement that are built for life, and obviously the Ponto joggers have been my favorite piece. But their Ponto Performance Tee is soft, lightweight, and perfect for lounging around while watching football or hitting the gym. It's hard to find better words than soft and comfy to describe how their clothes feel to me. You'll also see me in this Seaside pullover hoodie. It's another one of my favorites. But these few niche items are just the beginning of options Viore offers, as like I said, they design clothes for movement that are built for life. So I'd recommend using the the first link in my description or the QR code on screen to shop on Viori's site. See if there's anything you like on there. I'm recommending it because it's comfy. And now that you've done that, we can go ahead and get started with this game. Just like us, they've had a pretty average season. But the difference between these two rosters has still showed throughout this game as we just keep on taking the top off of their defense. We have Lenore Sellers on this team, we have Dylan Stewart, and I'm actually really hopeful that both of them are going to end up being first-round picks at the end of this year. We could really use it to elevate this program forward, because I think you know that we're going to lose our last 3 games. But let's just say that we don't. We don't have a shot at making it to the SEC championship, but we could probably finish inside the top 25. Either way, my main focus to end the year is just going to be closing out on these 4-star recruits. And for the most part, we've been able to do that, as now we've gotten 8 of them to commit, but we also have a few others that I added onto the board late where schools like Clemson are coming out of nowhere. And I'd imagine it wouldn't help us out a lot if they beat us to end the season too. I knew that if this team was going to be capable of making it to a bowl game, we had to take down Auburn. That's exactly how it played out. And like I always say when I do rebuilds in the SEC, it's the hardest spot for us to do one because there are so many better programs that we got to beat out. If South Carolina were in like the MAC or something, we could be winning that conference by year 2, year 3, but instead we're just lucky enough to make it to a bowl game against number 13 Miami? This isn't even a winnable game for us. I guess we could pull off the shocker. Maybe Lenore Sellers has a really good final game for South Carolina. But this is the last opponent I wanted to be facing. I don't know how this is an equal bowl game matchup. You see the position that we are in with 3 minutes remaining though. We're going for it on a 4th and 2. We didn't have to do that, but I decided to take the risk. And that's because Lenore Sellers has already thrown for 4 touchdowns in this game. He has played exceptionally well. He's trying to end his career with South Carolina with another win. And we are going to give it to him. At least I'm hoping. We got an open tight end. Smith is going to walk his way into the end zone. But we also have to get a stop on the defensive side of things. And this could be the final game that Dylan Stewart ever plays for us. Where's our pick? It is now 4th and 1. I think they might just hand this football off, which is why we have stacked the box. We're trying to get through there. He makes the tackle. But Dylan Stewart did not make it quick enough. And if they go to their check down, we could have picked it. Double coverage. There it is. Hunter grabs the pick. That is all that it's going to take for us to beat the Hurricanes in this bowl game. I wasn't sure it was going to be possible. But we have come out on top, and we're going to finish this season above 500. I mean, it has been a long time since South Carolina was any good. Since they've gotten 10 wins in a season, you have to go back to like 2013. And ultimately, going 7-6 isn't all that impressive. We want to be competing for national championships by the end of this. I'm like 99% sure that we're going to have to find a new quarterback for next year, though, because Lenore Sellers, although he is a junior, he's a 91 overall. He's probably declaring for the draft. He had 5 touchdowns, while Jalen Glover had 12 as the 3rd leading rusher. That was just a little bit of an odd split to look at, and we only used 4 receivers. Nick Harbor is going to be gone alongside Victor Snow. At least Malik Clark might not transfer. But he does care about championship contenders, so the 4-star might leave us as well. We won't know until we advance another week. I believe that we've recruited some good freshmen, though, so if he does decide to depart, it's not going to be the end of the world. Dylan Stewart on to the NFL. No chance at persuading him to come back, but Lenore Sellers is going to be returning for his senior year. I mean, that is just massive news for us. The only player that didn't transfer that was originally going to was this freshman right tackle. We're still losing a lot of talent. But to get Lenore Sellers back for his senior season is going to make a huge difference. I no longer need to worry about sweating out a quarterback during this transfer portal period. There's a battle that we lost to Clemson. I think that was kind of expected. And we really should only go after players that are interested in playing for us in this transfer portal period, or else we're not going to have enough hours to get the class that I want. Now, I wasn't planning on going after any other quarterbacks, but I saw this guy, Jay Manziel. I thought it might be Johnny Manziel. It is Jordan Manziel. Seeing his name just had to make me put him as another quarterback we have an option with, though he will most likely just be a career backup for us. Looking at some of the other players that we're targeting, I don't think we're going to have as much luck with the 4-stars as we did last season. And I can just tell you right now, we ended up doing a lot better with our high school class than the transfer portal class, which is a vast difference from what we went through last season. Just scrolling through all of these players, it pains me to say that there were actually quite a few battles that we lost. I didn't have the hours to spend with South Carolina though, since we only had like 600 a week. And at least we got Caleb Herring. That's going to be one good 4-star transfer that we can take credit for. Florida took away another 4-star out of high school. But ultimately, what really matters is the dev traits that we get on these guys. We want to see at least one elite, because that is when you can start to get some really good players. Unfortunately though, there were no elites this time around. Clemson signed the #1 class. Again, that is always going to be a very tough game on our schedule. Our class ranking went up by about 10 inside the SEC. We're still near the bottom of the conference, but we returned Lenore Sellers at quarterback, and he is so much better than every other player on our roster before training results. Ideally, though, all of our players improved a lot during the offseason, and that is what I'm seeing right here. We're getting multiple 86 overalls. We got a plus 10 on Steve Turner, who was a freshman we recruited last season, and Lenore Sellers is a 95 overall, so he's going to have to carry us. His accuracy never maxed out, but he has 96 throw power, still 89 speed. And the receivers that he's throwing the ball to, well, they're actually the worst he's had during his entire time at South Carolina, but freshman tight end Mitch Cream jumped up to an 80 overall. And we have 270 coach points to spend. Now, I think what we want to just do is go down this motivator pathway. I don't want to put too many points in here yet, though, because I don't know where else I want to go after it. If we had a pathway to get 2 first-round picks, then talent developer is the way I like to go, but I've also thought about doing tactician because this is one of the trees we've not touched in a long time. We would be getting some instant overall boost to a roster that I believe really needs it. We have a 91 overall defense with an 86 overall offense. That doesn't make much sense to me, especially when you consider we don't have a single defensive player above an 86 overall. But maybe that'll help us out in sim. Miami's on our non-conference schedule. I don't know why South Carolina would schedule a team like them in the future, because it makes App State the easiest game that we have, and they're never a slouch either. Michigan knows. So the outlook here, it's not looking very positive, but we might just build out our board of a lot of 3-stars so we can get more depth into this team. Because at the moment, we do have some young guys on the team, and we only have 11 seniors and 11 juniors, but we need more young players than this. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to sign quite a few of these players off of just offering them a scholarship as 3-stars and leaving them on our board the entire season. If no one else goes after them, they will sign to South Carolina. There's also 4-stars at the top of our board because we have to recruit 4-stars. We're in the SEC. And I'd even argue that a guy like Austin Robinson, this 3-star gym quarterback that we found, isn't going to be good enough. Look at how bad his accuracy is. Those are the types of guys that we're currently going after. Opening up the year against Oklahoma, we're just going to sim it. I was honestly expecting us to lose, but we had about 100 more total yards and 7 more points than the Sooners. So headed into this next game against Miami, we're going to see if we can take them down again. We just beat them in a bowl. This time, though, I think we're headed on the road to Hard Rock Stadium. And without Dylan Stewart on this defense, we're asking a lot out of them to get a stop on this 3rd down, which we couldn't. Whatever we do, we cannot let the Hurricanes score. We can't even let them get close to field goal range. It's an option. Emory Williams gets nothing. And we've been running a lot of man-to-man coverage, but it's going to work out. Caleb Herring off of the edge, who we picked up in the transfer portal, they just take a check down on 4th down. We're making that tackle, and we are 1 first down away from beating the Hurricanes. We just need a big run out of this toss, but we couldn't get it. So now it is 3rd and 8. The game on the line. Lenore Sellers facing immediate pressure. I tried to get around it, but they brought it in from every angle you could imagine. And I don't think this punt's going to pin them back either, unless they miss the ball. Okay, on the last drive, we were able to lock up Miami by just running man-to-man coverage, so we're going to do it again. Remember, if they're able to get a field goal, that's all it's going to take for them to beat us. And Emory Williams is confused. The ball is loose. We scoop it up. Don't get into the end zone here. We're going to celebrate. That was a very unselfish decision because we had a free touchdown, but we want to take a knee. We might actually be able to make the most out of Lenore Sellers' senior season. I was really worried that we were just going to lose a bunch of these games, but now I'm feeling confident to sim a couple. And during that time frame, we picked up 2 extremely close losses. I'm sure that is just such a surprise to everybody. We lost by 3 to Missouri and Ole Miss, and we beat number 10 Auburn on the road. So we're currently sitting at 3-2. I have to figure out when are we going to schedule a visit week for some of these players to come in. It feels like without one, we might be able to lock up most of them either way. And somehow Alabama has lost all 3 of the conference games that they've played, so we're hoping that that trend can keep up. To my surprise, and I think everybody else's, it did. We beat them 35-24. So if we can just win our next 2 games, one of them against Appalachian State, the one after against number 23 Mississippi State, I see us being in the top 25. We can't get too confident for any of these matchups though, because you never know when you're going to drop a game. So as long as we can get the right result in that one, I'm going to feel pretty good going into our one against Mississippi State. And some of those 4-star commits just told the full story. We beat them 35-14. We have more players on a visit against number 20 Mississippi State. And this is how we're going to stand a chance at pulling out wins against LSU and Texas for some of these 4-stars. This is the game to win right here. I believe that we can pull this off. I never worry too much about the Bulldogs. But one of these days that could come back to bite us since they're having a really good season. I mean, what did I say? They currently have a 13-point lead. This is how hopeless I feel when it comes to throwing the ball. So much so that I just have to immediately take off with Lenore Sellers And part of the problem is we just don't have the receivers that we have in past years. A comeback is not off the table, though. There's still about 8 minutes left in this game. And we picked up running back Samir Smith in the transfer portal from Eastern Michigan. Now we're going to look to thread the needle over to our tight end. But Mitch Kareem just dropped that ball. How are we supposed to ever trust him if he can't even make a catch as simple as that one? With another drop, it's now 4th and 7. I mean, you can see why we have struggled throughout this game. There's a flat over there. We're not getting the first. But we eventually got the ball back and scored anyway. Problem is, we still need to stop Mississippi State one more time. And instead, they're far down the field. I don't think there's anything we can do. They're just going to come out and take a knee. Scoring a touchdown on the other drive would have helped. And this is not the result that we wanted with visiting recruits seeing how we did. In fact, I am shocked that we even got a commitment, though I think that's from somebody that wasn't on a visit that we didn't need the help on. Because for those players, as you can see, we might still beat out Texas, but we're not going to beat out LSU for our corner. I will say, though, with all the 3-stars that we currently are having success with, we're still going to put together a full class. The question just becomes, are those players going to be able to find success in the SEC as 3-stars? And I'm not sure if they will or not. We went 4-5 in conference play. I think that's what we went last year. We ended up winning at Death Valley while losing to Tennessee by 4 on the road, and then Georgia beat us by 3. So every game that we've lost has been by 1 possession or less, and we have 5 losses this season from that. It just makes me think that we could have been so much better than we have been. At least until Clemson smoked us in front of our own fans. I don't even want to talk about it. We're just going to move past the score like it didn't happen. And you know what? I've seen enough. It is time that we just start firing Brad White. Our defensive coordinator needs to be better. We haven't gotten rid of Mike Shula yet just because he's still a talent developer. And I really wish that we could, because I think it'd help out our offense quite a bit. It's just he's going to develop players on this team so much better than anyone else. As for the Heisman Trophy, that's going to go to Marcel Reed, but not on Texas A&M. No, he transferred out to USC. Our bowl game matchup, please don't be against Miami. It's going to be against North Carolina. And we have a couple different defensive coordinators to choose between. Brian Williams, an elite recruiter, so he could help us out on that side of things, or we could get this tactician. I think that's what we're going with. That's the same pathway I've decided that I want to go down as well. So we're going to unlock this tree and we're just going to start upgrading everything. I didn't even calculate if I had enough coach points to cover every single position. I just went straight down the line and did it this way, but it's going to work out with another 22 to spare. And I'm hoping that can be the difference maker that locks in our 2nd straight Birmingham Bowl and another 7-6 season. We keep getting ranked ACC opponents in this matchup, and we keep on having to rely on our defense too. With exactly a minute left, we're up by 7. North Carolina just ran the football for whatever reason, and on 3rd and 4, they have a lot of guys blocking. We should be able to get a hand on that football. Here we go. 4th and 4. It's just a quick throw. We make the tackle. And this will be the final snap Lenore Sellers takes for South Carolina. I have to say, he probably wasn't looking forward to winning a couple Birmingham Bowls in college. When he was getting all that hype a couple seasons before this, the bar must have raised higher than that, but he only threw 3 picks, 21 touchdowns during his final season. He rushed for another 600 yards. And I'm just trying to see how much talent are we returning to our receiving room. It looks like every single player that was able to get yards for us is returning, besides maybe Samir Smith, a running back. By the end of the season, you're going to see that the Hurricanes won it all, and they only had 1 loss. Their 1 loss was us. So that just reassures to me that if we could have closed out all of these games that we lost by so few points, we could have been a playoff team. Probably not next year, though, because we know Lenore Sellers is going to be gone. We're losing our 87 overall running back. And basically, every single one of our young players that was threatening to transfer ended up actually transferring. As for the guys that are graduating, we got a 1st-round pick out of Lenore Sellers. We're also going to get a 7th-round pick out of transfer Marcus Steele. But he wasn't the only player on our defense to go on to the NFL. Caleb Herring and J.R. Johnson both did too. That's just going to help our pro potential grade a little bit. Now we get to build out our recruiting board with the remaining spots on our team that aren't just going to go to all these 3-stars that we've been offering. If someone else is in 1st place, they can have them. And it might actually be preferred because at the moment, there's only 3 spots left on our board to try and get the 3 4-stars interested. I guess with all the extra hours that we have to spend, we can start to scout some of these players. I don't want to pick up an 84 speed running back, so James Cobbs is immediately getting removed from our board. We ended up falling short on one of the 4-star quarterback transfers though, which is why I'm glad that we've already locked in Josh Flowers. It says that we're not meeting his playing time deal breaker, but he'll still commit. And then for receiver Shamarius Peterkin, I think Duke's going to get the edge over us because they got him on a week 4 visit. We're just having to guess his hard sell. There's not much that can be done about that, but we have been able to sign a load of players either way, which is is what we wanted to build a foundation that we can keep on growing from. In total, with a loss to UTSA on a corner and then Duke getting that 4-star receiver, we're going to bring in 33 prospects. And I've done a lot of scrolling. There's still not a single player with elite development, which is pretty disappointing, but 3-star quarterback Austin Robinson, he is star. And over the last couple years, we've gotten plenty of other players that have star development as well. This class finishing at number 18, maybe we can expect our next one to be in the top 10. It seems to move up about 10 spots every single season. And I was honestly expecting this team to just take a major step back this next season because we didn't do that well during the transfer portal. Most of our best recruits have been younger, but we see some huge jumps that's going to bring up our team overall. And even if that didn't happen at the quarterback position, we still got an 83 and an 84 to choose between. I think we might just roll with Denzel Gardner. He's currently a junior, so we'd have him for another season after this one, and his accuracy can get a lot better. It just hit me though, another reason our team might seem to be this solid is because of Tactician, because that boosts some of our players' overalls. We're playing the team that we just faced in a bowl game again. I feel like this is such a weird coincidence. I'm not sure how that's happened twice. I never touch the schedule either. I leave it up to whatever those teams have in real life, which is what EA puts inside the game. Now we got to go ahead, build out a board of a lot of 4-stars. I feel like one of the things that we've been doing that will pay off a lot down the line is a lot of our guys' deal breakers are with conference prestige, so they're not going to want to transfer even when we have a bad season. That's why I'll continue to look for players like that during this next class. I'm hoping Austin Robinson never transfers. We still got to go through redshirt quite a few freshmen. It looks like his accuracy is not capped out at all. There's only one skill cap, so if we could just get his throw power up, get his accuracy up, he'd be amazing. With that in mind, this is what our recruiting board is looking like this year. There's not a single quarterback on here because I don't want him to feel threatened that there's a future quarterback going to come in and take playing time away from him. We do have a pure possession athlete though, 87 speed. He'd make for a great tight end. I've also gone after a couple different receivers. But most importantly, if I scroll through this board, you're just going to see a lot of guys with deal breakers that are things we can maintain so they won't transfer. I just said it like a minute ago. It's important for us to have players that aren't going to want to transfer when we struggle. We only won by 14 against an FCS school, and now we have to go on the road to number 2 Georgia. I have a feeling this is probably going to go pretty poor for us, but we're still going to try and pull off the upset. I also don't plan on blowing a lead if we got one. Like, let's say we magically went up 30-3. Well, I'd make sure that we wouldn't lose a game like that. I'm sure South Carolina fans would expect the same. Our biggest struggle in this game, though, continues to be the same thing that we've had problems with for a while, and that's our offense. To come back down 23 with about 5 minutes left, it's very hard to do. And Cameron Williams has not been that great for us. He didn't get the first down there, but we are going to find Kareem. I just think that at this point in the game, we're too far gone. I mean, how did they even get that free of pressure? It should never happen. We're going to have the ball tipped off of our hands in the air. Instead of catching it, it looked like he just punched it. I don't know how the Georgia corner wasn't able to hold on, but we're going to run around, get out the throw. I think we kind of knew that this season wasn't going to be anything special for us. We did catch that ball. So technically not over yet, but like I was saying, I think we knew this year was probably going to be like another 7-6 year. Failing to get that 2-point conversion certainly does not help, and they scoop up the onside kick. At the end of the day, we're going to be losing this rivalry for quite a while. But against teams like Missouri, we've definitely done better in recent memory. This season, though, we lost by 1 point, so the regression is coming. That was one of the few very winnable games on our schedule, and this is not looking good for the rest of the year. On the bright side, in the following 2 weeks, we beat Ole Miss, and then we went on the road to Kroger Field, taking down my Kentucky Wildcats by 2 points. We're about to play against rivals North Carolina. It's a chance to beat a top 15 team, and I've actually scheduled multiple players on our board for a visit against the Tar Heels too. It's a very similar situation to last year, where we have to beat the team that we were able to take down in our bowl game the year before. And if we can do that, we're probably setting ourselves up to get back to a bowl game again. Hopefully not the Birmingham Bowl, but we have far bigger things to worry about right now anyway, because we're currently trailing by 5. That's right, we can't be worrying about whether or not we get to the Birmingham Bowl. If we're not winning this game in the first place, Gardner's going to step up. He's going to get 15. And you might have noticed more of our offensive success is coming on the ground than ever before. We actually got some really good linemen. Cameron Williams currently has 14 rushes for 127 yards. And I was going to run the RPO, but we'll take another 10. Whatever we do, if we're able to score a touchdown, we need to do it without North Carolina having much time to respond. And that's the complete opposite of what Cameron Williams just did. The game is going to come down to our defense. We've had that happen before. In fact, I think it did in the bowl game. But that doesn't mean that I feel good about it. Looking underneath, they're just going to hit the flat, 3rd and 2. And here we go. They're going to hand it off, but we're stuffing them. This is the game right here, 4th and 4. We're running man-to-man coverage. I mean, they've had all the time in the world to just send this. We got to deflect the ball here. and he catches it. How? We're going to call a timeout so we have a chance to respond, but how do you let them catch that on your head? Throw us a pick. This will be a lot more manageable if we could just hold them to a field goal, though it's not happening. And we're going to have 1:06 to respond. Their 2-point conversion, everything's locked. I mean, it's not the ideal spot to be in, that's for sure. We still have a couple timeouts, so we're not in an awful position, but they probably should have just grabbed that interception and ended the game right there. They sniffed out the halfback screen perfectly. We also didn't get as much on the ground as I was hoping that we would have there. Gardner's going to have to roll out. He's going to have to thread this into a window. And Cisco ran behind the defender before trying to make a play on the ball. Like, what were you thinking right there? Could we have schemed up a better play? Yes, we probably could have. After a frustrating loss like that, we can only hope that we somehow bounce back going into Neyland Stadium. And we somehow did 31-30, which means we're still alive to potentially get to a bowl game. We just have to win 2 more games on the schedule. I'm thinking about Arkansas and Florida. The other ones, like this matchup against Oklahoma, probably going to be difficult for us to pull out. If pulling out was easy, a lot less of us would be here. And as you can see, Oklahoma beat us by 7, but at least we kept it tight, just didn't score much. As for our potential recruiting class, I feel like it's starting to come together a little better, but we really need to take down the Gators on the road, so we're hopping into this one. It's going to be a night game at the Swamp. You never like to see that. And you see the situation. We just held Florida to a field goal. We have 1:07 to win this game with a touchdown. Maybe we just get in field goal range, though, and send it to overtime. I'd prefer to end it in regulation like I always do, but at least we have options, and we just need to make a quick read on this play. We got a blocker over on that side. That didn't really go the way that I thought it would, though, and no one's open. We're just throwing it out. On 3rd and 7, we will probably look underneath to our running back. That's been a consistent read that we can trust in Cameron Williams. And you have to wonder, why did we stop looking away from him in the first place? This is going to be a free play for us that we can get 9 yards. We're just going to decline this penalty and keep things moving as fast as we can. That's when Florida's decided to come out with this awful run defense look. So we're just going to hand it off, let Cameron Williams get to the 8. And I think they were expecting us to just settle for a field goal, which makes no sense. Why? There was so much time left on the clock. We have a blocker right there, but he didn't block. 12 seconds left now, trying to make any type of audibles. We're going to immediately roll out, and we throw a pick. We threw a pick. As I was holding down the button, by the way, I knew I was going to throw it there no matter what, and I knew the pick was coming because he just played the hitch. Good play, buddy. It's an awful look. It's an awful way to end this game because we're probably now going to lose at least 2 of our next 3. We're not making it to a bowl. So the struggle is just going to continue at South Carolina, though. If we pulled this off, it'd be hilarious because we got 4 players on a visit. South Carolina losing to the Aggies is what made me decide to start this rebuild because they choked their 30-3 lead. And in that game against them, we just got 3 commits, so I thought we might have pulled it off, but as you can see, we're 4-6. We ended up losing to Arkansas, too, by a lot more than we lost to number 3 Texas A&M, which means we're going to go 4-8. There's no way we beat Clemson at Death Valley. And I can't believe that we've even been able to bring in 7 4-stars with the type of year that we're having. Currently, there's a lot of other prospects on our board that we could still sign, potentially up to 13. But better colleges are coming into those battles, and they're probably going to take a lot of those players away. I wouldn't blame them either. We're now multiple years into this rebuild, and we just went 4-8 while getting annihilated by our rivals again. And I can't say that I'm excited to see Denzel Gardner get reps in during his senior season. I feel like he's not going to be any better than he just was, rushing-wise. At least Cameron Williams could get to 1,000 yards on the ground. I thought some of our receivers would get over 1,000 yards too. All around, though, it's just seeming like with how tough our conference is, we're never going to be able to make that leap up to a playoff team. Not unless we try and do something a little bit different offensively, so we're no longer going to be running the power spread. Instead, knowing that we got a lot of good receivers coming in, I think we should try something like an air raid. On this team, not a single receiver should be leaving besides potentially Lex Cyrus. He cared about pro potential, but I say all that because we have 6 freshman receivers as well that have just been redshirted. So we're trying to focus more on going through the air. We just need to surround our offense with a great defense. As for the Heisman Trophy winner, it was Bryce Underwood on Clemson. And of the 13 players we targeted, we ended up getting 13 of them, which I'm fine with. We didn't need another tight end or receiver. We already have plenty of guys at those positions. What we need, though, is guys with star development. We need guys with elite development. We're still getting a lot of normal on these 4-star prospects, which is a really big letdown. And even though I've I've been building this team to have less and less players transferring every season, there's about 7 to 8 that want to transfer still. Those guys see us play games against teams on our schedule like Clemson, Texas A&M, and then watch them go to the championship while we can't even make the Birmingham Bowl. And I'm not making excuses or anything, but we played a lot of the best teams in the country. What were they expecting? We're not going to get Lex Cyrus to return. We're also not going to get a single player on our defensive line, so that's another big hit, but we're just going to have to reboot during the transfer portal period. One thing we've consistently been able to do is put linebackers and defensive linemen onto the NFL. And I was thinking some players might take notice of that on the defensive side of things and want to transfer here, but all of our 4-star transfers available are on the offensive side, mostly quarterbacks with 1 running back. In an effort to try and replace a lot of the talent that we lost from this past year as well, I know the team went 4-8, but we still lost starters. What I've done is I've put a lot of guys that are going to be seniors transferring in on our board. We also have multiple quarterbacks, even a 3-star, even though I said I wasn't going to go after him. It's no offense to somebody like Austin Robinson who decided to not transfer. I just feel like we have to see our options. If we end up getting competition on some of these transfers, I'm just going to remove them from our board immediately because last year we kept them on a little bit too long and we lost more battles. By the final week of the transfer portal period, we've gotten 1 quarterback to commit, but Kurt Hoffman's the 3-star. And unfortunately, as you can see, Sidney Wade just decided he'd rather play for Clemson. That was the freshman from Bama transferring. Instead, we're going to get Johnny McGraw, who's coming from Missouri. And although I'd say the quality of transfers that we're signing is actually getting worse the farther that we get into this rebuild, I still believe that there's a lot in this class for us to be excited about. What I'm seeing right here is a full class of 35 prospects, including a 4-star transfer at running back. David could be really good for us, and this is something we have yet to do so far. I threw some freshmen on here at the last second just to fill it up. All of them have impact development, which is good enough for me. Still no elite. But the thing about getting players with elite development is they will be here for 3 years and they'll be gone. They develop that quick. We still signed a top 20 class. We're not getting a better class every season. It's the first time that we've regressed a little bit, and that puts us mid-table in the SEC in comparison. I don't know how we do it, but maybe we have to start recruiting better. I love to see that Gardner has upgraded his dev trait. That is right before training results, where he might take a bigger jump forward because of it. Our best players didn't improve at all, though. I don't like that. And it looks like Denzel is going to be an 88 overall, an 86 without any of the tactician bonuses. It could definitely be worse than that, and we're 11 players over the roster size limit. I don't want to cut any of the young kids, so we're going to have to find some different players on this team to just get rid of. By the time that we have done that, we've built an 89 overall team, but we have to start the season at North Carolina, who is coming off of a playoff appearance. Our schedule never seems to get easier. I mean, look at our final 6 games. I'm not even kidding. I am literally just hoping that we can get back to the Birmingham Bowl and start to build some momentum from there, because we've been a 2-star team prestige program for like 3 or 4 years. Maybe part of that has been because we haven't signed a single 5-star yet, though. So we're going after this kid. Washington's the only other team that's offered him a scholarship. There's also a couple 4-star gyms on defense and Damian Meadows at quarterback. I'm clearly not very loyal to my players because I'm still looking for quarterbacks, even though we found some for the future. 96 throw power. I mean, we gotta sign him if we can. We also just have some other players down here. Plenty of 4-star prospects to choose from this season, and I'm hoping that we can do better than last year. We've put our faith in this team to carry us back to a bowl game. I mean, I set that as the season goal. But if we can do better than that, we're obviously going to take it. Currently, all tied up with North Carolina. No turnovers yet, but our offense hasn't been incredible. David has 10 rushes for 24 yards, and on 3rd down, we're going to get it out, but off target. It looks like our defense is going to have to play a big role here. Come on, please just go in. It really seemed like we were about to miss that kick. We got to watch the running back in the flat, and we get the sack. That could have potentially been a game-ending play, but we still have to be able to move the chains a few times. With all the time in the world, our senior receiver is going to the 23. And from here, this is where we start to chew clock because we are in a better position. Signing Cameron Williams was definitely one of the better transfers that we've picked up. We're going to motion him over to this side and then just hand it off for the easiest touchdown of all time, celebrating mid-run. It doesn't get any more cocky or confident than that, but that's what we want to see as we just took down a top 10 team. And our next opponent is Appalachian State, who's a 72 overall. This should be a 2-0 start to the year. It's really nice to see Denzel Gardner getting some recognition, SEC Offensive Player of the Week against the Mountaineers. So of course we won, but I don't know how we're going to do against Missouri. And sure enough, we took them down 33-14. This is actually looking like we could start this season 5-0, 6-0 before we run into all these ranked opponents and collapse. If we can do that though, it should help out with recruiting. As you can see on some of these prospects, schools like Georgia come into the mix, and we must have guessed a hard sell wrong, or we even went with the soft sell method. It didn't work, which means our only way back in would be getting a visit win against Kentucky. Right before we play the Wildcats, though, we're headed on the road to Ole Miss, and I thought things might be going way too good to be true, but we just doubled the score against them, so we might actually be legit. I mean, if we lose to 0-4 Kentucky, then I'm gonna have to take that statement back immediately, but I'm pretty sure that we're gonna beat them, and that's gonna get us our first signing. Never mind, of all the games that we have lost this year, that's the team that we lose to. My favorite team just ruined the rebuild. It's actually ridiculous. It messes up everything. Damian Meadows would have committed. Instead, he's going to go to Penn State. We're not going to win that battle now. We can take him off the board. We're not going to get this defensive tackle that was a gym either. And that's just an inexcusable result. Everything was going so well up to that moment. I really thought that we were going to be hopping into this game against Tennessee 5-0 with the chance to start 6-0, but instead, now we're just fighting for 5-1. And with 4 minutes left, we have a lead, but Tennessee is about to get a stop on us, and that would not be good. Hang on, no one seems to be challenging anything. I don't know if that was a catch or not, but we're just going to hurry up and take this snap. We were able to somehow get a first down there, and it looks like they're going with man-to-man coverage, leaving Chong wide open. He's putting us past midfield. Just a freshman receiver, but he is already doing a lot for us. And this handoff to Cameron Williams going for 8. I'm not sure if this motion just helps the defense pick up on what we're running or if it really helps with some of our blocking. It felt like the last time we did it, it worked out a lot better, but we still got the first down. Gardner is a little bit shaken up. His wrist is hurting him, but he can still complete this pass. And we've done about everything that we can to just end this game. From here, we're going to be able to take a knee, and we are going to improve to 5-1, with the second half of our season being the hardest part coming up. We all know the second that we start having to go on the road to programs like number 16 Oklahoma, we're probably going to pick up some more losses. But I thought we'd win at least one of these games, and that just hasn't been the case. We're going to hop in against Arkansas since we got a better chance at beating them than Clemson. And we're not even going to get our chance to have a visit for Sateki Lou. He is committed to Washington. Kansas State stole a tight end away from us. I mean, this class might be the smallest one that we have signed in quite a bit, just seeing some of the other schools still in battles for players. But honestly, I think it's going to end up being okay, because if you look at where a majority of our guys are coming from, 40 of them are freshmen. If we could just retain those players for the next 4 seasons, by then we're going to be really good. And the only way that we retain them is by winning, which we clearly haven't been good at recently. The expression winning solves everything is very real, and that is why it is crucial that we close this one out. We probably should not have gone for it on 4th down, but we took that aggressive route anyway, all with the hopes of scoring a touchdown, going up by 10 points, and making Arkansas feel hopeless. If we don't happen to get in on this play, though, we are centered up for a field goal. We're going to step up with Gardner. He's going to reach for it, and the refs have signaled a touchdown, so we might pull this off in the rain. There is one thing that could go wrong, though, with this onside kick due to the rain after they scored their touchdown. I'm glad we're able to catch the ball. I was a little worried about that, but the touchdown did seal things. And we're bowl eligible again. At least we're not going to finish this season 4-8 like the year before. I probably should have known things at South Carolina were going to be tough when we had a quarterback like Lenore Sellers, and we were only winning 7 games a year. But it looks like after having a down season, we have bounced back, and we have a chance to win more than 7 games. We beat Clemson for the first time. That's actually massive. There were 2 players that came on a visit for that game, and I think both of them have committed. Danny Rowe didn't, but he's a little bit closer. And when it came to SEC play, we still lost 5 games. This has always been the spot in the conference that we find ourselves in. But I'd say things are going the way that we wanted them to, since we only have 1 player threatening to transfer this time around. I mean, that is just a major deal. Arizona State had a quarterback thrown for 52 touchdowns. When is it going to be our turn to get a quarterback thrown for 52? We got to play another ranked ACC team in the Birmingham Bowl. It's like this is the only bowl game that we can get, and every single time that we play in it, it's against a team that is better than we are. I don't trust that Boston College is actually a top 25 team, though. If I had to guess, it's a fraudulent number 17 in the country. I thought they just played an easier schedule than we did, and that's how they were able to go 10-2 and not get a playoff spot. But turns out, not the case. They're actually good. We find ourselves down by 10. We're going to save all our timeouts and hopefully still pull off a comeback. There's a flag, and it's against our offensive line. I mean, we have done absolutely nothing right in this game. I guess we don't care about the Birmingham Bowl. Now, something just happened I didn't realize could happen, and I've been watching football my entire life. We just got a safety off that. I was so confused. I'd never seen it before. I honestly thought the EA just had a glitch in the game and that they broke it. But it turns out if the holding penalty is thrown on a player that is holding in the end zone, it's an automatic safety. I genuinely had no idea. That's one of those rare things that you just wouldn't see happen, but I do have some good news. All we had to do was burn one of our 3 timeouts to get that stop, so we're not out of it yet. We're just going to need almost an immediate touchdown. Punt return would definitely help with that. There's no way this kid's catching him. And let's see what we can do with not much time left. It's going to be a perfect throw. Kareem, get out of bounds. I can't remember if he is a senior or a junior this year, but we're going to feed him again. And that would have been a tough ball for anybody to hold on to. Maybe we'll go underneath, though. We're going to turn upfield with David at the 3. We needed to score a fast touchdown, and it looks like we're going to be able to make that happen with Denzel Gardner. I am not giving up on winning this bowl game. Winning bowl games is so important to getting that team prestige up. We should have never been down like this in the first place. And just look at that defense. Now they're going to hand it off. We're all over it. Making it 3rd and 16, and they've decided to throw the football. Why don't you throw me an interception? That'd be nice. They really did not manage that final couple minutes well, because once they got the ball back after the safety, this game should have been over. We should not have gotten the opportunity we have. Even on that last play, they dropped the ball, so we got an extra 40 seconds, and that's going to make it so easy to score. The clock is no longer our biggest enemy. I mean, we're running the football. Our biggest enemy is going to be our own offense. There's a reason that we've not scored many points in this game, and it's because we haven't played that well. Don't get in yet. That was actually a really close call, but this works out perfectly because before our touchdown, we got to take off some time, and they didn't even try to stop Denzel Gardner. If we can just get this 2-point conversion, I'm not going to be too worried, especially since we'll be up by 3. Though they did get to the 44-yard line, and I thought they might just attempt a field goal from here. They're still going for the Hail Mary. This is it. Winning our 3rd Birmingham Bowl. No, he dropped it. Oh my gosh, that was in his hands. You all saw that. That was in his hands, and he couldn't hang on to the football. I mean, this is easily the wildest game that we've had in this rebuild. Probably the wildest game that we've had in like the last month on this game. It was there in his hands, and he just took a hit. We really don't deserve to be taking anything home from this game, but I'm hoping a win like that can build up the confidence for this roster to carry us to the playoffs in a couple years. As we look at our season stats, the only thing that really matters is whether or not a player is a senior or not, because those are guys that aren't going to be on the team next year. Denzel Gardner was our 2nd leading rusher. Cameron Williams, we know he's been serving us well for a couple seasons. He is going to be gone. So is Brian Rowe Jr. But we were definitely better through the air than we've been any other season, and we're not even going to convince Johnny McGraw to return. We knew that he was a 4-star that probably would pan out, but he was only an 81. And that's just not worth sacrificing the career of our young quarterback over. 3 7th-round picks. This isn't going to help our pro potential grades much. But I am very excited for next year because either way, we're going to have one of these kids that's going to be a sophomore starting for us. It's either Kurt Hoffman, who we got in the transfer portal, or Austin Robinson, who we've recruited out of high school. I'm not sure what player progression is going to do to either of them, but Austin Robinson with his 91 speed, we just want to see his accuracy get better. I mean, he can basically do nothing else with all these. I just hope that auto progression is smart enough to boost up some of the stats that are going to matter. Kurt Hoffman, his accuracy is actually in a really good spot. He is built to start for us this next season. I would just rather use the quarterback that has 91 speed. Anyway, we have gotten our first elite dev player with Dennis. That is incredible for a free safety. I feel like he's probably going to be the only one in this class. But I'll tell you right now, things are finally taking a step in the right direction because we're up to 2.5 stars in team prestige, and our school grades look better than they did a few years ago. We're also going to have another opportunity to recruit Sidney Wade. There was a year that I think he was on our board and we just didn't get him. Clemson was able to snag him, but now he is back available through the portal. And I'm loving the fact that we have a chance, not a great chance, but a chance to sign a bunch of different 4-star transfers as well. This is the most that we have ever had available to us. I know we don't need another quarterback, but I still want Sidney. I think it's safe to say, though, that even after guessing his hard sell correctly and stacking multiple complimentary visits, we're still not going to have what it takes to beat out Clemson for him. And any of these 4-stars that we're able to land through the portal, I'm going to be thankful for because I don't think it's going to be many. As you can see, we've been locked out of multiple battles headed into these final couple weeks, or we've just straight up lost them. But I can't blame a lot of those players. Most of those schools have been better in the past 5 years than we have, and we're still getting a decent amount of transfers. We ended up signing a few more 3-stars. We also found 4-star Dante Coco. No one else wanted him, so I'll take a chance on him, even if he is a north-south blocker. Don't think that makes for a great running back. You're seeing a lot of lost battles here. But it is what it is. Apparently receivers, we're going to have plenty of them, and Sidney Wade went to Clemson like everyone expected. But just look how many guys on our board ended up having star development. Some of them being transfers, some of them ended up being just guys that we recruited out of high school. Hang on, did I see an elite on one of those players? Jamie Berry, the transfer is a freshman, elite dev. We're legitimately just going to have too many good receivers that we can't decide who we're throwing the ball to. I mean, that is another star in our room. Top 20 class, third year in a row. And these training results are making this team look like a playoff one. We got 2 linebackers above a 93 overall. We also got Mitch Kareem finally hitting his senior year as a 90. And Kurt Hoffman isn't going to be our starter, even though his speed got a lot faster, because Austin Robinson jumped 9 overalls. He now is Gold Magician. He is Silver Shifty, and I have to assume that his accuracy got a little bit better, which it did. 69 deep throw accuracy isn't getting me too excited, but he has 96 throw power. He never needs to increase the power stat. Though I am disappointed our halfback transfer, Dante Coco, who's a junior at an 89 overall, only has 85 speed. The plan for our running back room in the future, though, probably comes through this group of 1 million receivers, because at least one of these guys is going to convert over well to that position. And I don't know how many guys we're really going to go for this year straight out of high school. We only have 15 seniors, 12 the year after, so what we want is impact transfers that still have an opportunity to start. I can basically guarantee all of these guys aren't going to start for us immediately, but we still need some depth, so we'll probably try and get like 5 or 10 4-stars. I noticed at positions like cornerback, we had a few less players, so that's why I've put more of them on our board. Of the 10 guys I'm going after, I think only 1 of them is on offense, 2 of them are. But again, the hope is that they're not immediately stepping onto the field for us next year, but they could a couple years down the line. I am very disappointed to say, though, we couldn't even win our first game against Arkansas. I thought this was the turning point. If this was a 5-year rebuild, I would have failed, because I just can't seem to save South Carolina. We had a quarterback in Austin Robinson going for 400 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. Maybe we didn't have a running game, but you saw what our issue was. It was our defense giving up too much, and we're going to sim against NC State too. I just had to trust that our defense would play better against them, and I know that it did, because we've unlocked Scheme Guru, which is right under Tactician. It's the next thing beneath it, and you can only unlock it if you beat 8 top 25 opponents. So we have now done that. There's different pathways we could go down, and these upgrades are just going to impact our ability to run the football actually really well. So what we're doing is we're getting a fast tempo offense up. We're also getting ground and pound, so defensive players take a lot of fatigue hits. It's going to force them to rotate their backups in more, and we're also switching over to USF's playbook since we have a fast quarterback. With our game against Texas, I want to experience this myself. I want to see if it's super overpowered or not, and if it is, we might have figured out how we're going to make our playoff push in the future. From what I've seen, I mean, once you get going in hurry up mode, they don't know what to do. It's actually a lot of fun, especially once you start pulling out the read option. And our defense has done a lot better against Texas as well, which is good news, because against Arkansas, we gave up 45. And I think he's got a super bright future for us. He helped us take down Texas by double their score, while throwing for almost 300 yards too. It's games like this one on the road at Tennessee, though, that could really make or break our season. If we pull off this upset, all of a sudden we're back in the running for a spot in the SEC championship. We'd be looking like a very real threat to make the playoff as well, but if we lose this game, then we're going to be an afterthought for every other team where they just think we're nothing. That makes these final 6 minutes extremely stressful, extremely important. And as we spread out Tennessee, you should know that Robinson is going straight up the middle for a touchdown. On the 2-point conversion, we're going to look at our tight end in the flat. It was an RPO, but they got to Austin Robinson in time. 3rd and 5. They got a guy in motion, and I've left the running back open in the flat, but they should be taking a sack here. I don't know how he is still on his feet. And these are the moments that we have been waiting for. On a 2nd and 10, we're just going to get it out quick. That didn't do much. Mo Bamba's kind of going crazy on 3rd and 10. Stadium Pulse is going to make it hard to pick up. But I wanted this to be a 4th and manageable because I felt like we could convert on it, and we did. Taron Norvell is now our best receiver. You should remember when we first signed him. He was one of our main targets in that class. Stadium Pulse could be getting to us a little bit, though. Never mind, it's not. We got the crosser. Norvell is going to be able to get around the defender as well, so it is all on our defense. And we gave Tennessee plenty of time. 2 minutes is a lot, but if we can get this 2-point conversion, I'd feel a little bit better. So far, they've been able to get near midfield, and we're just going to stay in man-to-man coverage. But if we're going to be in man-to-man coverage, you have to watch someone like him sneaking in the flat. After giving up something like that, we are most likely headed to overtime unless they took a sack. And we've not dialed up the pressure yet, so we might as well try and see what that can do. It feels like Tennessee is just going to settle for a field goal from here, which is fine with me. We're going to shoot that run. And he's got 20 rushes for 41 yards. Our run defense has been off the charts. Their field goal kick, though, is in. It's not the end of the world. It just means we got some work to do if we're going to get into field goal range. Probably shouldn't have run it. And it's time to switch over to some 4 verticals. We're going to look to split the seam, or we're going to look downfield. We caught it. I thought Robinson overthrew it. I thought it was an interception. I cannot believe that we just came up with that ball, but I see the size mismatch over on that side of the field, and it's dropped. If that was just placed a little bit to the outside, I feel like that could have gone way differently. And for whatever reason, Tennessee took a timeout. I don't understand it at all. They stand no chance of getting this football back if that's what it was for. And here we go. We got ourselves a massive kick, but it's straight down the middle. Tennessee will have their chance at a Hail Mary, though, which makes me pretty nervous. We've already almost lost off of one of these before. We're trying to get in pressure so they can't get the throw out, and that isn't even close to the end zone. Well, our playoff hopes are not off of the table yet. We just beat a top 5 team, and that is actually going to get us ranked for the first time in this rebuild. I can't believe it took this long for us to get ranked with South Carolina, but here we are. Immediately after, though, I've noticed Kentucky is on the schedule, and this is not a game that we can lose. We already dropped one to Arkansas that was just inexcusable. It makes me real nervous to face them, but Terran Norvell has set the South Carolina career receiving touchdowns record in that game, and he only had 1 receiving touchdown, so we need to check in on his career stats here in a second. I did notice 2 interceptions out of Austin Robinson, but it was in an overtime 44-41 win. And in total, Terran Norvell has 24 receiving touchdowns in his time with the Gamecocks. I'm a little bit surprised that's all it took to be the career record holder for them, but you know what? I'll take it. And if we're hosting #1 Alabama, we might as well play, though. This is the final game that we can hop into this season, and I'm not sure we've even hit the midway point. Playing this one was totally worth it, though. We're probably just going to run away with things at the very end. That's exactly how this game was, though, until they started pulling off a miraculous comeback. Their quarterback, Earl Merrick, threw 4 interceptions to just 2 touchdowns, and Dante Coco rushed for 3 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. With a performance like that, I was hoping that the 4-star Jim Corner was going to commit to our school, but he chose Virginia Tech. The only commits that we've landed so far are a couple 4-stars. But a week later, I've scheduled a lot of players for a visit against East Carolina, which feels like a free win, and they should commit then. Assuming they all do, this will take care of the 4-stars I wanted to sign in this class. I think we still might be able to bring in like 10 of them. And Austin Robinson had himself a game to where he won SEC Offensive Player of the Week. He had 6 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, 3 on the ground, in a 49-24 win. But remember, I have to simulate the rest of this season since I've already hopped into a few games, and I have a bad idea of how this is going to go. I figured we'd lose a game or 2 that we shouldn't, and that might be against Auburn. They're 6-3, though. It was on the road. I can't be too upset by it. We just survived against Missouri. We still got to finish the year against Ole Miss and Clemson on the road. And with it being pretty obvious that we're probably not going to be one of the 2 teams in the SEC championship, ranked 14th in the country, I'm feeling like we're going to miss out on about everything. As great as it would be if we were able to finish this season with 2 wins, I'm not sure this team has it in them. But at least on the recruiting side, we've been able to sign 9 4-stars, and that 5th 4-star is coming soon. Now, hang on. We did beat Ole Miss by 3 points, which means we take down Clemson in our rivalry. We're in the playoff. And as the number 7 team in the country, it almost feels like we might even be able to lose this game and stay in if we don't drop too far, though the Tigers are ranked 19. I'm not really sure how a loss would affect us, but I just have to cross my fingers and hope that we get that playoff spot. They're a 99 overall. So the expectation is we're not going to beat them, though we did get a career record broken. Terran Norvell setting another one for career receiving yards. It turns out, though, we did beat the Tigers as well by 3 points, 26-23. So who cares that we didn't get a spot in the SEC championship? We are headed to the playoff for the very first time. I didn't think we were going to make it this far. We probably need to watch out for Arizona State because this is the 2nd year in a row Paul Montgomery has won the Heisman Trophy for them. Less touchdowns than the season before. We got California in the first round. And then let's say that we get past the Golden Bears. Well, we would have a battle against USC to determine who is really USC. South Carolina fans are going to disagree with me here, but that's fine. It bugs me when people call South Carolina USC. The only USC I think of is the one out in Southern California. And knowing that our opponent is Cal, every team that we have played in the postseason so far, this entire rebuild, has come from the ACC. They always put up such a good fight as well. We are only up by 4 points with about a minute and a half left in this game. We've left him open. Cal quarterback Nick Mahoney has already thrown 2 interceptions, though. Surely we can force him into another mistake at some point. Or maybe not. He's just shredding our defense at the moment. They're not going to run the football. That was out of reach. We could have ended it. There's still a minute left as well. We are now in trouble. Drag is wide open. I mean, I couldn't even come close to getting there. And there's just so much momentum on Cal's side. Though if they tried to thread that needle, it wouldn't be there. Now they're throwing it up. It's a 50-50 ball. We've honestly just got to snag that. We played inside, and it didn't work. Oh, it did. I've been trusting man-to-man coverage more often than not, But we might have just gotten routed up there, except we get over to the ball with Ward. He catches this one, and Melo Ward makes up for his mistake. We're going to take a knee, which puts us on to the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. When this season started the way that it did, losing to Arkansas, I never imagined that we would make it to this point, but we are 3 games away from a national championship. I don't know if we got it in us, though. We did lose our offensive coordinator, so we're going to have to find a new one, though there are some really high levels to look at. And I know it's going to seem like I'm being picky, but I don't like what a single one of them has to offer, so we're just going to go for the highest level as an architect. I was actually really hoping for a strategist, since we have multiple players that want to transfer at the end of the year, and strategists can prevent that from happening. It has to do with pro potential as well, so no matter how we perform in the playoff, those corners are going to be gone. What we are back to relying on, though, is our defense once again. We currently have a 7-point lead on 3rd down. USC is going to throw it to the sideline. We whiffed on a tackle, and that is going to take us to the 2-minute warning. We have held on in situations like this before. They got a lot of guys blocking, and there's no way we let them just thread the needle. We're going to stay in cover 3, though, as they run a tight end screen. We can't get over there to make the tackle. We've missed multiple, and the Trojans finally stopped the clock. I guess they wanted a second to think about this next play, which was a run. It's caught us off guard, but I feel like we're in an okay spot still. We have a minute to get into field goal range. The seam looks like it's there. It looked like it was there. I don't know what changed. I don't even know how to start coming up with an excuse or blaming it on someone else. It wasn't me. Robinson made the read. Not ideal. Not ideal at all, because they can basically just settle for a field goal from here. But if we could force an interception, that would change things for us. Now, they get out a quick throw. We're taking a timeout. Setting up 3rd and 5. We pinched our line as well. I didn't want them running the football. Oh, it's there. It's there. What that means is 49 seconds. 49 seconds to pull off the comeback now. I don't love this throw. It's going to get us some, but the clock is just going to continue to run. I can see that they're out there in cover 2. We got to throw it. Throw it. I was trying so hard to get that ball out with Austin Robinson. We're just going to look over to Kareem. He is still on his feet too, and that's a great spot for us to call our second timeout. Mitch Kareem, our senior tight end, does not want this to be the end of his career. He believes that we could still win a national championship. There's the seam that we missed on the last drive, and we're going to need to hit that one more time. We basically got 2 plays left in us. This is going to be a throw directly to him, but we somehow made that catch. It's touchdown or nothing. Game on the line. We're hitting him. Throw it immediately. Here's where things get really interesting, though. That is not good enough for me. I want to go for the 2-point conversion as well. We're going to hopefully end this game. We don't need overtime. We're putting our season on the line, and it's going to be caught by Mitch. We have absolutely nothing to lose this year. I had no hope of a national championship. Now I'm starting to feel like it could happen. And with that game, Austin Robinson has put himself in the South Carolina record book forever. I knew our next opponent was going to be an ACC one as well, so I'm honestly not as worried, and we got our offensive coordinator. On the other side of the bracket, we would have to face either Georgia or Oregon if we can beat Duke. And you know what? Before I disrespect the Blue Devils, they've won a national championship in this file while we haven't been able to. They are also a 91 overall team with a 94 overall defense. They're much better than I thought they would be, where that defense has been no joke. It is 3-3 in the 3rd quarter until this touchdown. They are then going to march down the field on us, setting up for a 3rd and goal themselves. Maybe we can force an interception, though, or they're just going to scramble in. And this might be the time the offenses come alive. I can't really see over to the side of the field I wanted, but it's not going to matter. They got in their instant pressure on 3rd and 3. That's a pick. That's got to be a pick. How are they catching that ball? This is going to go down as one of the hardest games we've ever had to play, at least on the offensive side of things. Defensively, it had been solid. But now look what they're doing to us. They're running it down our throats. And we embarrassingly have not had an answer, but we just got faked out too. I don't care. The refs are taking a second look at it. It was obvious to me that he got in. So we're in the same position that we were against the Trojans. We're actually looking over to that left side of the field because it seemed like we might be able to take down the sideline. But either way, if we are able to score that touchdown, we're going for the 2-point conversion and ending it. That is a long way away, though. On 3rd and 6, we're just going to pick it up with Mitch Kareem. And we truly don't have anybody that we can just chuck the ball up to blindly. So that's made it kind of hard. We have slow running backs, and when you have slow running backs, you can't get those massive gains that you typically want. So that's a little disrespectful to Dante Coco because he's still got over 100 yards on the ground. On 4th and 7, we have to make sure we at least get this one out. It's going to be layered perfectly, so the hopes stay alive. We can still win this game against the Blue Devils. It's a huge lane for Dante Coco. Maybe we should just kick our extra point, though. At least that's what I was considering for a second if we got in on that play, but since we didn't, It's all down to Robinson to take us in. We're actually going to hurry up and get off this next play. It says it's cover 1. That's some very good insight. We have the angle route. Coco catches it. But our plan for the 2-point conversion really scares me. I think we want to throw it immediately to Kareem. It's over the head. And he caught it again. That is back-to-back games where he has saved us with a 2-point conversion catch that has been incredibly clutch. I can't even say that was the right read. And so much for all those down years that we've been having. We just flipped the switch this year and have been incredible. If we're going to beat the Ducks, though, we have to take down a team that was able to beat Arizona State and the Heisman-winning quarterback, that beat Miami, that just beat #1 Georgia by 2. And I also want to point out that Oregon averages 40 points per game. This is going to be such a battle, but I still feel like we're capable of winning. Just to get a little bit more of an advantage on defense, we're going to spend some more coach points in that tactician tree. I believe going down that pathway is one of the only reasons that we've been able to turn around as fast as we did. But I also believe that we just found the right offensive scheme for this team, and ever since, we've taken off. I'll tell you what, though, with 2.5 minutes left, we have done just enough to be in front by 5. And I have a bad feeling the Ducks are probably going to get into the end zone here. We need to make that tackle. I feel like I've done all that I can in this game. It has been a really tough one to get stops against Oregon, and we just left them open. I'd say the 2-point conversion is the far more crucial piece, though. They're just going to go with the handoff, and we're all over it. So we win a national championship with South Carolina. If we just get into field goal range, I feel like that's not much of a challenge at all. We've been pulling off 2-point conversions and last-second drives, but this is manageable. This is really manageable. Don't throw a pick. We're throwing that away. We're actually so close to pulling this off with the Gamecocks. We just need him to get open. Man-to-man coverage. It's dropped. I'm a little bit disappointed in Norvell, but we're going to look over to the flat, and we're easily going to have the first down. You know, I doubt Oregon's really expecting it. We got to just pull out the read option at some point and take off without fumbling. I was trying to slide. I know I say that a lot, but I promise I was actually trying to slide there, and we just couldn't get down with Robinson. We also had our crosser. Get rid of it. Just so many mistakes. I think you can see why we have only scored as many points as we have in this game. But it's helped us that Oregon hasn't played great themselves either. And if we just hit our check down, that's going to get us another 5 or 6. Who we really need in this moment, though, is Mitch Kareem. Mitch Kareem is open. He is a blocker down the field. Mitch Kareem is so fast for a tight end. And that's either one of the most hype plays for your team possible, or if you're an Oregon fan, it's really disappointing because you saw him take off. There was nothing you could do. We are going to settle for a field goal, though. That's exactly the position that we're in. So they better not find a way to block this. In all these rebuilds, I've seen the computer pull out some crazy things, but it feels like a national championship with South Carolina is truly ours. And for Oregon, well, they still have not been able to win a national championship themselves. Considering I thought we were 2 years out from a title run, though, we're going to run things back with this team immediately and see if we can go for back-to-back national championships. I think we'll be able to pull it off. Most of our team is returning, like Austin Robinson. He'll be back. Dante Coco should also be back unless he declares for the NFL draft. He had 15 touchdowns on the ground. Ty Compton was our #1 receiver. He's gone, I guess. But I feel like we've recruited so many receivers, that's not going to be an issue. We actually convinced both Jamie Garnez and Mello Ward to return for their senior year after they wanted to transfer. I don't think Ty Compton's sticking around. I also don't think Dante Coco is. And just off of the guys that we're also losing to graduation, I'd say that we lost about 10 starters from this team. We're having to say goodbye to Mitch Kareem, who never went for more than 639 yards, but he was always great when we stepped in. And Taron Norvell, who set multiple school records, but his stats don't look like he's the best receiver in school history. When I went to see how many players went to the NFL from this team, and there were only 7, I think it's understandable why I wasn't expecting us to win at all. And although we could have 100% made this team better through the portal, I decided we didn't need it. I want to give the same group of guys that just had an incredible run a chance to run it back, though we are going to need some running backs, so I'm looking at a couple receivers being moved over. And elusive route runners typically transition pretty well, just like gadgets do, so we're going to move him too. We also need an OP tight end, which is why we're going to move this kid, Sonny Chong. I'm going to be honest, that pronunciation did not sound correct. I was trying my hardest, though. I wasn't intending it that way. By the time that I'm done making moves with this roster, we're getting some dev trade upgrades. And Jamie Berry is just looking like an absolute monster at wide receiver. 94 overall, 99 speed. We also got a 97 overall Jamie Garnes, so I'm glad that he returned to college. We got a 90 overall quarterback in Austin Robinson. He'd be going on to the NFL after this next year. And let's say that he didn't. Let's say he had 2 years left in college. Well, his accuracy by the end of it would be fully maxed out. I know we play in the SEC, so there's no guarantee that that we even make it back to the playoffs, but this is a 97 overall team. I honestly thought it was going to be a 99. And we're just going to sim this season, see if we have truly built a team that is capable of winning back-to-back national championships. Spoiler alert, most of the time, these teams aren't. You know what though? Seeing that Austin Robinson won SEC Player of the Week is a very good sign. And we made it to the SEC Championship against Georgia. Apparently, we lost to Arkansas again, 35-29, but every other game on the schedule we were able to win, finishing 11-1. And I don't know what it is about Arkansas, but I feel like it's a good sign. If they can beat the team, then it can win a national championship. It turns out we ended up beating Georgia in the SEC Championship too. But the Heisman Trophy went to Shaq Slater, so we did not win the Heisman Trophy ever. We also didn't win any awards. I'm gonna be honest, for winning 51-27 against the Bulldogs, I don't know who could be ranked above us. But it turns out it is undefeated USC and undefeated Miami. Now I'm just gonna keep simming. We've got West Virginia in the quarterfinal, but clearly we ended up taking them down if we're playing Miami in the next round. And then we beat them to stumble back to the national championship. So at this point, I think we should play it. I mean, we've made it this far off a sim, which we typically don't. Whenever I sim, we never make it back to the national championship. I guess that's how good Austin Robinson and Jamar Thomas is. We also have to give some credit to some of our receivers. 106 receptions for Jamie Berry. Ezekiel Wood is our leading receiver in touchdowns though. And this might be the first time on College Football 26 where we've successfully been able to win back-to-back national championships in a rebuild. I would say if we do pull this off, do we go for the three-peat? But I don't think we're going to have enough players since I haven't been recruiting. And I'm trying to ice this game with this drive. Currently, with a few minutes left, we find ourselves up by 4. We're going to be at the 5. We get those yards. We're going to be in a great spot. And guess who's open? Our tight end. From there, Georgia spent way too long getting points. Most of the rest of the clock ran out, though this onside kick went over our head. We still get back to it with Wood. And being up by 11 points, it was easy to run out the rest of the clock, winning our second straight national championship. Depending on how many players we lost, I was willing to consider running this back, and we only lost about 10. I think it's because the huge class that I was trying to build for, most of those guys are going to be seniors next year, so they'll still be around. I don't think any of these players are returning. So that's not very helpful, but I think we'll have enough guys to field a team that can go for the three-peat. For the positions where we only have one player, though, we're definitely going to need to move over some more guys. We got receivers that can become running backs. This isn't a problem. And this is the team I was imagining that I'd be trying to take to a national championship. As you can see, we have more guys above a 90 overall than ever before. We actually got Austin Robinson sitting at a 91. And this running back room is just ridiculous. This receiving room, ridiculous. Our tight end room, ridiculous. I could literally do that for every single position group on this team. And we still have 63 guys on the roster, which is plenty to contend for a national championship, though our schedule's looking pretty challenging. Who knows if we're even going to get back to the playoff. I think the last time that I went for a three-peat on this channel was in the Grand Rapids series, which lets you know how long it has been. We're just going to sim through the regular season like last year, though. And for the second year in a row, we are in the SEC Championship. There was a 5-way tie for that spot, but we were able to get it. Now, I don't know who we lost to yet. I haven't looked at the schedule. Is Arkansas on here? That is the real test. Texas A&M and Alabama beat us. And honestly, whether we beat Tennessee or not, we're going to be a playoff team, but I would love to see us beat them. Well, that is not what happened. They took us down 62-38. So the best team that we have had this entire time is in the worst position to potentially win it all. Our first round game will be against Arizona State. And I'm just going to sim straight to the national championship and see if we even make it there in the first place. I sure hope that we do. If we don't, that's a major disappointment. Well, we're going to be taking on number 2 Florida State, and we have somehow done it. Now, we had to beat Memphis to get here. Ohio State was obviously the toughest team we had to take down. But I cannot stress enough how impressive it is that Austin Robinson has been able to get to this spot now 3 years in a row, because this never happens in sim. We have running backs every single year that are just going off. We got receivers that are going off like crazy, 26 touchdowns. And by now, I know almost nothing about this team, but we know Austin Robinson, so we're just going to hope that he can carry us. South Carolina fans have been asking me to rebuild them for years now, so hopefully this lives up to your expectation that you've been waiting on the entire time I've had this channel. But it might only do that if we can have a successful drive with a little more than 2 minutes left. As you can see, we're currently losing by 4 points. And it is going to be a 3rd and 9. Now we're looking for our tight end angle route. He is so open. Chong is currently putting on a show, and they're going to send in a blitz, letting him get open again. You shouldn't have done that. I believe that Florida State will let us do it again, though. We're going to thread the needle up the seam. And undefeated Florida State is just a few more good plays away from picking up their first loss. Clock is being chewed as well. We do not want to give the Seminoles any opportunity to respond. That's been one of our best plays. Now we're seeing that they're sitting in a cover 4. Is it quarters? Are we going to be able to take off with Robinson? He steps inside. He is short. But we are just going to run a speed option to the other side of the field. 15 seconds on the clock. National championship on the line. And I believe we all know that should have probably been a fumble, but it wasn't called a fumble, and we're in the end zone. Austin Robinson is the greatest quarterback that I have ever used in a rebuild. He led South Carolina to not one national championship, not 2, but 3 of them. And it's just so wild to me that every single season he started, he was able to win a natty. This will go down as the most successful rebuild that I have had on College Football 26 so far. We might not have put anywhere near the most players into the NFL of all the teams that I have built. But again, I was able to save South Carolina and in the SEC win 3 straight natties. So that's going to wrap up this rebuild. Let me know in the comments who you want me to rebuild next, because there's still so many teams that probably need it. South Carolina finally got their moment, and if you made it this far, you want to see more rebuilds like this, just check out the playlist.